What's up guys, EMG Smash Central here, and it's time for another gaming vlog series episode type of thing. And Cap and Kirby suggested in the comments of the last episode to talk about the relationship between the Smash Brothers community and, the Smash Brothers, just competitive community in general, and the traditional fighting game community, the FGC. But I thought that'd be a better topic for, an episode down the line, maybe the next episode. And this episode, we'll just talk about the debate that, whether or not Smash Brothers is a traditional fighter, or it should be considered a traditional competitive fighter, so to speak. So let's get into it. So as a lot of people already know, in multiple interviews, Sakurai, the main developer himself, said that he didn't want to make a traditional fighter. He did not want to make a traditional fighting game. He wanted to make, a crazy, wacky party brawler with stage hazards, items, custom moves, all that jazz that anybody could get into without needing, a lot of skill or background in fighting games and still be able to have fun. With that kind of ideology and mindset, every single Smash game in the series featured simplistic controls, wacky stages with, crazy transformations and platform layouts and stage hazards, all sorts of items, and there was a huge focus on just free-for-all 4-player battles. But the real question is, does it really matter what the developers' intentions were if you can just tweak the in-game settings to reflect a more hardcore competitive environment? Does it matter that there's things like stage hazards and items if you can just turn them off or avoid them? While it is a matter of opinion, I'm just gonna say that Sakurai's easygoing intentions for wacky items and stage hazards and whatnot are irrelevant to the argument when you can just tweak the in-game settings and turn them off to reflect a more competitive environment. But let's compare Smash to the other traditional fighting games. What does the Smash series have that the other fighting games don't? Well, for starters, there aren't any health bars. You can fall off the stage, some stages have platforms, and taking the most hits doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna lose the game. You can also KO yourself if you're not careful. None of these elements are present in the other traditional fighting games. But those elements don't necessarily make the game any less strategic or competitive. If anything, being able to somehow come back and take the win after taking way more damage than your opponent takes even more strategy and skill. It gets even harder to combo and KO your opponent as their damage rises, making your decisions that much more important. And if that isn't enough, not KOing yourself and being able to make it back to the stage is an essential skill in Smash Brothers that can decide a game. Seriously, have you ever played Smash with somebody for their first time? Getting them to figure out how to recover an up B can be like learning a whole new language. But let's talk about platform stages for a second. I don't think any other traditional fighters have platform stages that are legal in tournament play, but if they do, they are definitely rare. There are both 2D and 3D fighting games that are regarded as traditional competitive fighters, Street Fighter and Soul Calibur respectively. The Super Smash Bros. Series are 2D fighting games, but I would argue that things like platform stages and being able to face your back to the opponent gives it some of that 3D fighter feel rather than hurt its legitimacy as a competitive fighter as some people would think. When it comes to things like combos, actions per minute, advanced techniques, all that fast technical stuff, the Smash Bros. Games have it too. You've obviously heard of wave dashing in Melee, while other fighting games have similar movement techniques with the exact same name. Did you know that Street Fighter first revolutionized combos in fighting games by allowing players to cancel attack animations with other attacks? Well, in Smash 64 we had Z canceling, a technique that allowed you to cancel all the landing leg on your aerials, allowing for crazy, inescapable strings and even zero to death combos. Although it was unintended in Smash 64, Sakurai left the technique in Melee, but tweaking it a little, making it so only half the landing leg on all your aerials was cancelled out. I know earlier I said that Sakurai intended to make a wacky brawler that anyone could have fun playing, but the history of Z and L cancelling proves that he wanted to leave advanced techniques in for the more dedicated and competitive players. Brawl and Smash 4 weren't neglected either when it comes to advanced techniques. If you've taken the time to sit down and learn things like wave bouncing and perfect pivots, it isn't exactly easy. You have to quickly move the joystick in multiple directions and in some cases let it return back to a neutral position in between all these quick movements. Personally, doing something like a drill shine in Melee with Fox or Falco is way easier for me, and that's like 6 button inputs, and that's not even including all the control stick stuff. When wave bouncing and perfect pivoting is only like 3 or 4 control stick movements. So quick button presses, hidden advanced techniques, combos, all that competitive jazz are definitely things found in every single game across the Smash series. The only real uncontrollable difference that the Smash games have that other traditional fighters don't is stages with stage hazards that you can't turn off. For example, Pokemon Stadium 1 with its transformations, and Dreamland with the tree Wispy Woods or whatever that blows the wind either to the left side or the right side. The only other fighting game that has something similar to stage hazards that are used in competitive play would be Injustice, and I don't know, I might be incorrect, but I think you can turn those off. But the streams that I've seen of tournaments in the past, interactables were on and they were used. So like I said, certain competitive stages in Super Smash Bros. Like Pokemon Stadium 1 and Dreamland have stage transformations and hazards that you can't turn off, but they're still used in competitive play. In recent years, however, Pokemon Stadium 1 has been changed to a counterpick stage rather than a neutral stage because of the transformations, but the wind from the tree in the Dreamland stage has never really been that significant of a stage hazard to take it out of that neutral stage slot. So there isn't really much that sets the Smash games aside from the rest of the games considered to be traditional competitive fighters. All the competitive fighters have their own little quirks or nuances that makes them different and entertaining, and the Smash Bros. Series does the exact same thing. Although it is a matter of opinion whether or not you want to consider Smash a traditional competitive fighter, I believe it belongs in the category with the rest of them. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Maybe next episode we'll talk about what the FGC thinks about this topic and how those views have changed over the years. You can always suggest other topics in the comments as well, and if you want to submit your clips for this series or the Replay Remix series, all the info is in the video description below. As always, thanks for watching all the way until the end of the video. I'm a.k.a. SmashCentral, and happy smashing!